Everybody. Good. Oh, okay. All right. You just don't want to come to this place when there is an alternative like an online platform. No, it's not a crime. You must make use of what is available. Yeah. Mr. Mashiyi, Advocate Ntsebeza is going to administer the oath or the affirmation to you. And then Mr. July will take the proceedings to where they should go.
Okay, no problem.
Advocate Ntsebeza.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, Mr. Mashiyi.
Morning, Advocate Dumisa.
Yes. Are you going to take an oath or are you going to affirm?
Sorry?
Are you going to take an oath or are you going to affirm?
I can take it out. I don't have a problem with any.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mashiyi, do you swear that the evidence you are going to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If that is so, please raise your right hand on camera and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, Mr. Mashiyi. You've now been sworn in as a participant in the SJN proceedings.
Mr. July.
Good morning, Mr. Mashiyi.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mashiyi, you made the submissions to the Ombuds in relation to the investigation, right? Your submission is dated the 15th of May, 2021. Yes, and in your submissions, you start by saying, you begin your submission by saying, what you see the work of the ombuds to be, it's black versus whites, but the main problem is the system. So you will develop on that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and then you go on and say, you identify one of the issues that are problematic in the cricket, sports of cricket. You talk about the unions, and we are saying the unions are culprit. And you talk about the school sports, and you ask the question as to who is in charge of those school sports, right?
Yes.
And then you go on and talk about the selection of players. And then you say these players are selected from the white schools.
Yes.
And you say the coaches of the schools are also the selectors. Some of the schools have got these selectors. Then you talk about the independent, as a solution. You say this coaches must be independent, selectors must be independent selectors. Then you go to coaching, and when you deal with coaching, you talk about the qualifications that the coaches must have. And you say the solution is that this coaching program must be linked, or the clubs or CSA must be linked to universities.
Yes.
Yes. And then you talk about the hubs that are established by CSA. And you say they are just PR. They are just PR in any event what they do. They are wasting black children's progress.
Yes.
Yes. So you will develop to that. Then you talk about the NPOs and the companies. And there, your crime seems like it's about the companies that are not paid on time by CSA, in particular black companies that would have been procured by CSA?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the ball then is in your court to explain every topic that we have just spoken about.
Yes. Let me start with the background of all of this. May I start now? Can I?
Yes, you were saying?
Yes, I would like to start with the background, just to set the background so that when we go to these topics, you can understand each by each. The problem of cricket in terms of started way back, like I would say when we started pulling together 1991. There were things that they were never addressed during that period. For instance, the process, in fact, I believe it was rushed because the development was never like placed as a priority. Because if we talk about development, there are things in development that are so critical. They were critical in 1991, they are still today. Like we're talking about challenges like equipment. We're talking about infrastructure. We are talking about how to identify black cricketers from early age. That for me is something that it was never really being touched. So it led, as years go by, it led to many things that were happening in cricket. So I would like to start with that background to say that's why I'm saying in my report, let's not only look at this as a black and white chair or black versus white. Let's look at the system all together.
If you don't mind, Mashiyi, can I just ask you, if it will not disorientate you, just tell us firstly about yourself. Yes.
Okay, let me start from my background. I'm David Mashiyi, born in Cape Town. As a young man, I was interested in the sport of cricket, tried to play this sport of cricket. Then at some point, decided that, look, I should go and seek education, especially the business side. Then later in my years, I started coaching after I worked in so many companies. Then I decided to come back to sport.
Don't rush. Don't rush.
Oh, sorry.
We have to take down notes. No. Just relax and take it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So after many years of working for many companies, I decided to go back to sport and to start as a cricket coach, and also I'm qualified as a rugby coach. Then at some point, there was an accident, in fact, that changed my whole life in coaching, which is I will speak about it in some of the topics that I've aligned. But it changed my life that I decided it's useless to be a coach whereby you're coaching children, but you know truly that they will end up nowhere. So I started an NPO with friends of mine. The NPO is about sport development. We look at how we can improve black schools and black players. We've been operating the NPO since 2015, and we have been growing. We have partners from UK that we're working on, a lot of travelers in terms of getting kids from UK to come to this side so that our children could have equipment. And we've got partners like Barbados Cricket that we are establishing an exchange program. and also Clareton in Jamaica, because we have seen as an NPO that the challenge is that there's a need to educate people on the know-how of cricket. But in South Africa, we don't have those opportunities, or those opportunities are slim. So it's better to seek abroad help in terms of that. So we've been doing well as an NPO, we've been getting inroads. So that would be, I think, all interesting about me.
Then you can go ahead, Mr. Mashiyi.
Okay, let me just go ahead to say, to finish the point that, say, I don't look at this as black versus white. Yes, there is a discrimination in cricket. It's there. Whoever said it's not there against black people, if anyone who says it's not there, then that person is lying. It's there. It's clearly is there. But there is a system that is meant to make sure that black children don't end up where they should be. Just to give you this, an example of this. Out of every black cricketers that have represented national team, talking about the Proteas senior team, there's only one who came really from our schools, like black schools. Most of them come from what you call a traditional cricket schools. And that is a system that is made so that those schools, we think those schools, we think every one of us, we have to send our children to those schools. It's the system that I will show you when I talk about the point who is in charge of schools cricket. And that if we don't make sure that we sort that, we will be end up 20 years later, we have this kind of engagement. 50 years later, we are still talking about things that we are talking about today. So I will go through that point. Let me start with the first point that I've made about the unions. The unions, the unions in South Africa, I don't believe have done their utmost best in terms of developing black cricketers. Yes, you've seen in terms of their staff changes whereby you see black people, but that has not resulted on its own in development being proper. That's why I've said in one point that we have made mistake in the past. When I say we, talking about the cricket family or everyone involved in cricket, that we thought, put black CEO, things will change. Put black cricket service manager, things will change. But look at all of the unions. Most of the people who are the service cricket managers are black. But nothing has changed. Why? Because the system has not changed. And I will take you to the points that I've made. The important person in terms of development in every union is the cricket service, the service cricket manager, which is under him. He has the coaching manager, he has the mini cricket manager, he has the schools manager, the clubs manager. Those are the critical people, critical position in terms of management in cricket. And then one of the things that I've said in getting those jobs, every time those jobs that are when they are advertised, you need to have a level 3 coaching of cricket. That is a problem on its own. The problem is there's a gatekeeping mechanism in that level 3, whereby I have been years now on level 2, other coaches have been years before me on level 2, they are still stuck on level 2. And the system that it puts the coaching manager in power on who to select to go to that level 3. Then that process on its own, it reminded me of times when I used to be in private sector, whereby when the affirmative action laws were made in our country, the same people that would choose who's going to be in those management positions were the same people who were resisting the affirmative action. Now you have a coaching manager or one person that is determining who's fit to be taken to that level 3. And the same person, knowing that the person that goes level 3 could apply for his job too. There is a proof that I've been seeing whereby they choose either their friends or they choose people that they know they are less quality than them. So their jobs would be safe because the people who've got that level 3 pass to get these kind of jobs have less in terms of quality or management skills than the person himself that is making that decision. In my recommendation later, I will talk that what needs to happen there, but that is a crisis. And if you can look at every job that is being advertised of cricket in terms of management, the level 3 is the start. And also, I will speak about that level 3 in the coaching level, because it's one of the way of blocking many black coaches to not go anywhere. Because if you don't have level 3, there's no way you can advance. You end up in schools level, in high school. Level 3 gets you to university. You can be able to coach underline teams and to go even to the provincial level and to go to the level 4 coaching. I will show you that this system is also a way of making sure the system keeps on making sure that it has the people that it wants in those positions. Let me go to
Mashiyi, are you going to explain when you deal with the topic under coaching, how is the selection that you are talking about? How does it take place?
The selection, you attend level 2 first before you go to level 1 and level 2 before you go to attend level 3, and then you end up going for level 2. I think it's called revision. I might be corrected of that word, but you attend that course, and then you according to them you go to a database whereby the coaching manager of every union will choose the people that the names that he will send to CSA that he thinks they are ready to go for level 3. So that process is how it works. There's no other way whereby we will say, okay, we look at maybe the performance of the coach. There's nothing like that. Or we look at how the coach advances or pass any certain test to go to that. The criteria on its own is, for me, it's weak, if I can say so. You depend on one person who has his powers to make that decision. And in that point, I think that's what I would like to say about it.
Okay.
I don't know if your question was answered well.
Yeah, no, you did.
Okay, let me now go to my next point. My next point will be talking about the schools. The schools cricket is critical in terms of developing a a black child. Why it is? In old days, there used to be club cricket and school cricket used to be equal. In terms of there was a selection or a process whereby to identify talent in club cricket. But today, there's none of that. Club cricket here in South Africa is like now today, if I can say, it's a recreational. It's just play, let's have fun. There's nothing that is happening in terms of identifying talent in those clubs. The schools cricket has much power today than the club cricket. So that's whereby there's been a lot of fighting in that space of school cricket because whoever owns that space owns cricket. And how now, currently, what is happening? The club, if you want to play club cricket, you go to the union's office, you register your team, you go through a process, then if everything is done, ticked, then you will be given fixtures when the time to play comes. But you go through school program. If your school wants to play cricket, there's no like a proper structure. You cannot go to the union and say, look, my school wants to play cricket. You cannot go to even Department of Education and say, my school wants to cricket. You have to find those bodies. I will use inverted commas because they call themselves illegit or legit bodies. But in truth, those bodies are just gatekeepings. Like I will make an example. There's a body that is called South African Schools Cricket. And for the past 5 years, I've been making investigations on that. And I've went to Department of Education to say there's someone who calls himself schools cricket body or schools that is under a schools sport body. Are you associated with this body? And I've been getting we don't even know who are those people. But those people, if you meet them, they will claim to be working with the education department. Those people, if you go to some of the websites of these unions, they are affiliated with them. And if you go to those bodies, you find their committees are made up of it's either the headmaster or the sport coordinators of those traditional schools, cricket traditional schools. And the last time I checked in that body website, there was only one Indian black person. It was white people, all of them. That's the body that is being controlling the school cricket system for years in South Africa. And you go through any school, any black school, they will tell you, we play the sport, but when comes our children have to be selected for areas, team, for regional teams, that's where the problem is at. They are not being selected. And the unions knows about this because once I've reported this matter, whereby I was approached by 10 schools, our organization, 10 schools in one region. They said, look, we've been bullied by these schools. We send our children to trials, but they are not selected. And we go there knowing that our children will not be selected. And I sent this report to one of the cricket service managers to say, look, there is a crisis here. Please engage these people because they feel like they are being bullied by this structure. Like I will make you an example of another thing they do. Once a player from our organization made it to the area team, he made it to the trials. To get to the team, area team, he had to, his parents have to pay 1,000. And we all know some parents, black parents, cannot afford that money. That 1,000 is just made as a gatekeeping to say we will choose who we want. It's not something that you, even if you can hear the reasoning of it, there's none. But it's made, it's a way to say we don't want certain black people. Let me just put it as like that. We want certain black people because if you are a black person, maybe you stayed in suburb, you can afford that 1,000. But someone whose mom not working in Alexandra or where, or even in Kukuletu, they will never afford that. 1,000 for a 4-day tournament, if you think about it, is ridiculous. So fortunately for that player, we managed to secure that money for him to go to play. But now, the way he was treated in that tournament, it was shocking. He spent 3 days, 3 days. The highest position he batted was number 9. For 3 days, he only bowled 2 overs. And how many overs that were bowled that day were, on that 3 days, were 300, because it was a 50-50 game, 50 overs game. Then when I counted, because I was making my own score too while they were playing, black players bowled 10 overs of that 300 overs. It was only when I approached the coach. In fact, I said to him, if these players don't bowl, come on Monday, I will make sure I park my car. I will make sure there will be no game there. And that's where other people started to come now to say, please, coach, play these players. We've been seeing this. These players have been here, and the coach was black. I have to show you that it's the system, because the coach was black. But the coach decided that our players are not good enough to even bowl like 40%, 40% of how much of the overs that were bowled there. I know CSA got the scoreboard whereby they check things like this. But sometimes they place it at the wrong section, whereby you will those things are happening at the more, you see it on the regional tournaments or provincial tournaments. You don't see them at the area tournaments. And also sometimes that system of scoreboard, there's no monitoring, there's no evaluation on it. They don't even check. Like if...
Would you still recall, Mr. Mashiyi, would you still recall this specific event which you are making an example of, when it was, where it was, and all of that, when these black players were not selected, even though they...
still recall. It was, let me, 4 years back, 2016. The tournament was an area tournament in Johannesburg. The first games, which were on Friday, I still recall, they were played in Hyde Park. On Saturday, they played in St. Peter's, in the Central side. And on that day, I think they played in St. Peter's as well. The last day, they played in the ground of St. Benedict in they call it a set penalty. I think the school, they bought that land and there's a field there. It's in Libro Park, in near Crystal, in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And I can even give you, because I've spoken to the parents of the children, I can even give you the name of them if you would like. Someone who was there, the parents themselves who were watching that.
Yeah, that would be
essential, because one doesn't want to, we would like to record that this was not a fictitious, your testimony was not about a fictitious event or a speculative event. You are relying on something which is historical in the sense that it happened at such and such a place, an area tournament. If you could even remember what year it was, then we would be able to contextualize and use it as a very good example which illustrates the theme that you are indicating, which, as I understand it, is that,
The name of the player is Itumeleng Litwaba.
yeah.
His father, because his father was there with me all time, is Del Litwaba.
Mr. Mashiyi, before you proceed, I would like you, for the benefit of all of us, can you explain this union thing? Because people, when you talk about unions, we immediately think about trade unions. So can you explain the unions that you're talking about? Can you also, when you're finished with that, will you deal with this issue, the structure of the cricket? As I understand it, you say there's a club cricket, there's a school cricket, there's an area cricket, regional and provincial.
Yes.
Okay. Please explain those as well.
Okay. Let me start with the union. Cricket South Africa is the mother body.
Yeah.
And it has the cricket unions in every province. Some of the provinces you get, there are 2 or 3. Like, for instance, in Western Cape, you've got Poland, and you've got Western Province. In Gauteng, you've got Easterns, you've got Northerns, and you've got Central Gauteng Cricket. So unions are, I can say, are the arms of Cricket South Africa in terms of it's helping Cricket South Africa in terms of development and running of cricket on the ground. They are the more critical ones than Cricket South Africa in terms of the development because they are on the ground. And to go to the structure, in cricket, you first play cricket in schools. Then, after the season ends, there is a period whereby now there will be an area team, whereby the area team differs in different places. For instance, where I am in Johannesburg, they call it this area Northeastern Johannesburg. Then you've got other areas in Johannesburg. So the schools that are there, they will be sending players for the trials. The trials that I think I should speak about it now because I wanted to speak about this later in terms of who select the players. The players are selected by the coaches of the schools. There are coaches that are given sort of power to select if their decision is final. Like I was once in that panel, and in that panel, and whereby I found that, look, firstly, we were going to select players, but we didn't sit in terms of discussing, guys, what are we looking out for? What is the transformation phase? How many black players do we need in that team? We didn't even look at that. Comes the day, coaches were there, selectors were there to select. And how wrong it is, whereby you get a coach from a school to come to select. Obvious, I'm going to look for the players of my school first. And you also get a private coaches. Like in cricket, you can coach a school, and then you can run your private coaching. Now in private coaching, I'm paid by the parent direct. If I say maybe an hour, I charge 300 per session. The parent is the one that is paying me. Now imagine you see those players that I coach private big day, and I know their parents are paying me because they want these children to go up in cricket in terms of the steps of cricket. Will I not choose those players? Hey, it's only an honest man that can not choose them. But if you are a man, you know that you need this money. Obviously, you will choose them so that the parents keep on saying, yeah, we will pay this guy. But from the area team, the tournament is played. It's a 4-day tournament whereby they play with other areas. And then after that, those players that were in the area team, they are given letters for that tournament to go for the regional trials. So they choose a date whereby those players will be called. The trials can be 2 days, 3 days, depends on the selectors. Then those players, after they are selected, they will be playing for regions, the regional team. So they will play, the regions will be playing one another. Then that's where they select now the provincial team that will represent them, maybe the under 13, under 15, that will represent the provincial team to the national tournament. So that's how the structure goes.
Okay. You can proceed.
Yes, okay. Now, just to finish my point with the schools cricket. My point is this structure, and it's not only that structure. I have to mention there are many people that does their own structures in terms of schools. That some of them, I don't think even the unions know who they are. But you'll find coordinator everywhere. Coordinator of cricket, whereby they coordinate schools. One problem that I have with that system is that at the end of the day, the one for the traditional cricket schools is more structured. The one that for our black schools is not structured. That's why we lose lots of talent, black talent. Because that no one even is identifying players there. They just play for fun. Like I said, the black schools are just playing for fun. If you really, at this point in life, in cricket, you want your child to proceed, better take your child to those traditional schools cricket. And that's the system that has been built. Unfortunately, it's been built for years and years and years. And we still think that we will be achieving different results using the same method. But this needs to be changed. The unions need to take accountability of what's happening in schools, like they taking accountability of the club cricket. They need to take accountability of the schools cricket. But I will go further on the resolution, what I think should be made in that space. Then I should go and talk about now a different subject, which is the player selection. Yes.
Before you do that, there's somewhere where you say when black organization starts their own, okay, development programs, we are called rebels, and we are told yes.
Well, what is happening? I'm glad that you touched that point. Thank you for reminding me. The thing is, there's a word that has been used as I call also that word is the gatekeeping, whereby the word is affiliate, whereby you have to affiliate with the union, cricket union that I spoke about. If you don't, they call you a rebel. But some of our organization goes to those offices and we're never taken serious. We go there, not only in one union, I've went in 3 to 4 unions, but we are not taken serious. We submit, they say, come to you and say, submit the plan, you submit the plan, and they will never call you. Now, when you start to say now, like for instance, we've got a program that we partnered with the Department of Education that we're doing, whereby we want to develop black schools that they don't have cricket. We want to make sure that they play cricket. But now, those players, if we assume not to be affiliated with the unions, they will never be selected. We will be just wasting their time, because it will be just playing for fun. They will never go for area teams because we are assumed not to be affiliated. And you go to every union website, or you check how many black NPOs or black organizations that are affiliated. In fact, when I researched, they were none. And that is made deliberately. Why I say that? Because not once, not twice, I went to those offices to say, look, I want to help in terms of development. I don't want money from you, but I want to help in terms of the development of cricket. Already we've got these schools that we're working with. Once they promised me, we will come to see what you're doing. They never came. Went again, another story, went again, another story. And when I tried to call even my friends who running these organizations from different parts of the world, they say, David, we've got this same problem also. You're not alone, you're not unique. So your problem is not a unique one. And for me, it tells you there is a problem. Because now we are called rebels. If I start a tournament like now for black schools to play cricket, that tournament is called rebel. Those players will never get to opportunity to even represent area because we are seen as rebel in cricket. But I've never seen a white organization be called rebel, whereby they are also doing their own thing without going to those offices to say, we need to be affiliated. But with us, black, it's rebel. With them, it's development.
Isn't that then in a very impossible position that those black players would find? It's like between the rock and the hard place. If you are not affiliated, you will not be selected. If you seek to, cause yourself to be selectable by, setting up those separate structures to do the preparation of players who would be selectable, then you are called rebels. So you are, it seems to me you are damned if you do, you are damned if you don't.
That's the problem. That's where I say the system, make people to be frustrated. I think they are happy when they frustrate us, thinking that we'll decide, let's give up. When they see you again, they're like, you are still here. Oh, it's like now there's another place that you should be on. It's the frustration of black people who want to develop cricket is there, and it's a system that is done by our own at some point. Our own black service cricket managers are the one that calls us rebels at some point. And when you take up this challenge, there's no structure in South Africa. I will go further at some point when I'm talking about another chapter whereby if I feel there's no structure really, if I feel like we've been treated badly or being discriminated, I can go there and report. Unfortunately, the report, we have to take it to the same cricket service manager. He can make his own rules and his own decision. There's nothing else you can do other than go back home and drink medicine, and then tomorrow carry on. So, like you say, we're in that position.
Okay, we can go to the
point then.
Yes. Let me go to the next point. In terms of player selection, it's a sad thing you will ever look at. In terms of, firstly, this point, it also created in old days, not in so long time ago. In fact, I can say 6 years, 7 years back, players from the hubs, cricket hubs, they used to play with us in terms of they play with. Or in fact, before I go to that point, let me go to another point that is happening. That is very very interesting, and I think it should be dealt with. At some point in Gauteng, I think it was 4 years back, the traditional schools, cricket traditional schools, decided on their own, we're not playing the weak teams, inverted commas. Who are the weak teams? Teams from townships. In fact, I said when someone was telling me, let's face it, let's be honest, you don't want to play black schools. For years now, they've been playing alone. You will struggle even at primary level. You will struggle to see a game whereby Caps Primary playing a school in Alexandra. Even going to Alexandra to play those schools, you will struggle. You will struggle because they decided, no, we're not playing the weak sides. No one, because like I said, because like the question was saying, who is in control of schools cricket? No one from the unions. They know about it. They cannot claim to say they don't know. No one even said anything. No one has ever addressed this point. They are playing there alone. You go on Saturday, you take a drive from Sentin to here, Crystal to. White kids are playing alone. You will never see them playing the schools, the black schools in Alexandra, Soweto anymore because they said that we are done playing with the weak schools. For me, that was a big insult, not only to me, but to our country, whereby we fought not for only black to be advanced, but we fought for this country we call a revolution, for black kids to play with white kids, to make friends with them. Now, when you are an elder, decide who is weak, who is strong. not only you disadvantage the black children from the townships, the opportunity to go to those schools and play with the best, but also the white kids that are on that school, because they will never, ever know what is happening in the other side of South Africa. That leads in future an ignorant society, whereby someone, I will be a player going to a national team or a provincial team. I come from the township. No one knows, even the coach doesn't know about my challenges, my culture, where I come from. So they will want, I will go there and feel lonely. That's why there's a player said, I felt lonely because they didn't understand where he's from, because we live in two worlds of cricket. There's white world, there's black world. Now in Johannesburg, they decided these worlds have to be apart. These worlds cannot play with one another, cannot engage with one another. For me, that was the sad day, not only for cricket, but for this country. And that reflects to one of the things I was told by a friend, a story, whereby a provincial team was picked to play in a national tournament. There were two black kids that were there. And his kid, which the friend is white, his kid was selected there. The friend used to work for Cricket South Africa. Went to him, because he was accompanying his kids going to that tournament. They went to him and said, Daddy, there are two kids that don't have food. Every time we go to the shop, we see these kids are not buying anything. And they don't have food. So I said to them, oh, they said they want to buy for these kids. Then I said, okay, you can go spend for your friends. But you ask yourself, where was the manager of the team? Where was the coach of the team? Because those kids will feel lonely, because they see others going to buy, they see others going to the shop enjoying. And now those kids will be feeling like they are orphans in that team. They are just there because they were made favors, or they're being embarrassed, in fact. Because when you go there, no one check that you prepared for this tournament. It's a sad thing. That's where I said, if we continue to have this black side, white side, we will have this. And unfortunately, it will not only end in cricket, it will go on in our daily lives. That's a last point I wanted to make on that we need to sort the schools in cricket. We cannot have white schools playing alone. We cannot have black schools playing alone. That cannot be happening in 2021, not in this country. In the player selection, I've already gone a bit by it by saying the process is wrong. You have coaches from the same schools, traditional schools selecting, you have coaches, private coaches.
Mr. Mashiyi, before you go to the coaching, there's something that you're saying there. It says in your statement, it is a lion's den for black kids in those trials. I have seen brown envelopes flying around and a coach picking his younger brother.
I've seen a lot in this selection. I will tell you about the 2016 one. It was 2016 or 15. I have to check. There were two white kids that were not there in the trials. Were not there. Day 1, day 2, day 3. They were not there. When the team was being selected, those kids were included. I asked, why these kids are included? They said, oh, we know these kids are good. They played last year. I said, last year is last year. But these kids were not here, and no one even brought a letter to say they are sick or not. I've seen in trials whereby parents would be talking with coaches, giving the selectors, giving them money. I've seen that. The coaches will be bound, because if you give me money, I'll be bound to select your kid. I've seen, for black children, it's a lion's den, because you go there, you don't have anyone to advocate for you. You are there, even if you play, you just, because one of the things, the trials are done in a way whereby they are bowling in the nets or playing in the nets. It's like a training session. It's a different whereby you have a match session, whereby we can look at the scores, we can look at the wickets he took. But now on the net session, I can use my own criteria on how to select. And no one can judge and say, Mr. Mashiyi, your criteria was wrong. Where were you? There's no records there. There's no cameras to check whereby things were done properly. And I've seen someone in that 2015-16 selecting his own brother to the team. And even that, I asked him why. Even if your brother is good, but it doesn't seem right for you to select him. It would have been okay if some of the coaches here selected the coaches. And also to that selection point, one thing I must emphasize, in that selection panel, most of the black coaches are not even from South Africa. They are from Zimbabwe. Now, you will be 2 or 1 from South Africa. When you were raising those points to say, guys, this process is not good, and someone else would say, look at these guys, they agree with me. But I say, look, it's different. For me, I grew up in the same areas these players come from. I know the difficulties, I know the challenges. So if you call me emotional about it, yes, I'm emotional, because those players come from where I come from. And these players are good enough, but they are not selected. It's like taking your black kids to those selection. Even one of the points that agrees with me on that. At some point, there's a school in Alexandra called Skiel. That school produces cricket players, good cricket players. At some point, they complained that, look, we send children to the trials, the area trials, they are not picked. And then someone made a call that, look, no, you should no longer go to those trials. We'll have our own process. Because that person who was making that decision, which I don't know who he is, he was scared of tackling the big issue. And the big issue is more running the schools cricket in South Africa. Not only in Gauteng, not only in Cape Town, not only in Border. In South Africa, who is running that? Is it cricket people in unions? No, I can clearly say that. I can clearly say that they are just there for the sake of being there. They've got no control of what is going on. To them, what I'm saying can be Latin. I can be talking something, maybe I'm insane to them, because they are not on the ground. They are in the offices. They don't know what is happening on the ground. They don't even they don't even know most of the people that are working on the ground. It's not me alone. There are many people, many, Gauteng to Border to Cape Town to Kimberley, that are doing great job in cricket development. But our own people, service managers, which are black, they see us about Popeye maybe as we just useless people. We just organizations that are useless when we are registered, when we follow each and every process. We are not just fly by nights who decided, let's come and make money in cricket. In fact, I can even show you my organization. We've been doing this volunteering for 6 years, because we love cricket, we love our country, we love our kids, but we've been treated like as if we come from another planet by our own people first. By our own people. That's why I said, look, for now, I don't think the mentality that I had before of saying, if we've got black people, let's have black right people at the right places. People who are able to do the job. That's it. But I will speak about that on the solutions that I have. But now I think I should go to the coaching. I think that's the next, yes, it's the next thing. In coaching, I always believe in my whole life, if you are a coach, you are a role model. And especially in a place like township or rural area, whereby we know some of the kids don't have fathers. They look up to you as a coach, as a father figure. If you have an empowered coach, you are killing those kids. If you have a coach that is not equipped educationally and knowledge-wise, you are killing those kids. If you've got a standard 7 coach, do you think that standard 7 coach will be able to motivate our own kids to say, go to university, go to maybe a few of them? This is a challenge, education of coach, the level, because you could see it in the way they are. Like, for instance, I've got this thing as now to the coaches that I work with. You don't go in front of the kids looking like you're going to some, maybe a party or whatever. You must be representable. The kids must aspire by looking at you to be like you. Because some of the kids must take it to the mind that they don't have fathers. And unfortunately, it's the reality of us black people where we come from. Some of the kids don't have fathers. Some of the kids have fathers, but fathers are not there for them. So you are a father figure, you are a coach. So the coach needs to be empowered so that he can go back and empower children, not only in cricket. For instance, I can make an example or that is happening. I remember some point, Cricket South Africa did an initiative of taking speed bowlers to India, and also I think they went to Sri Lanka to go to be trained by the best people in those countries in terms of the spinning. But I asked myself, why can't you take the coaches? Because the coach will teach hundreds of children. Whereas the player, if you take me as a player, I will not be able to teach anyone. It's the skill that I will keep it to myself. But if you take a coach, 10 coaches, you are reaching 1,000 kids, because those coaches work with a lot of kids. These coaches need to be educated, because I've got things that I've seen with my eyes that sometimes makes me uncomfortable. Coaches can't drink, and these coaches need to be vetted. Coaches can't drink in games. Coaches smoking in front of children, because they are not empowered. Sometimes you can think these coaches are doing that deliberately, but I'm telling you, education helps a human being. Education makes you better. Education tells you, David, you cannot do this here. David, you can do this. It's education, because when you have a knowledge, you tend to want to get more knowledge. I've seen whereby a coach holding a young girl in a way that I felt uncomfortable. And cricket doesn't have even those coaching whereby we talk about child awareness or those things. Vetting, maybe they when they hire a coach the first year, maybe others do the vetting, but I know many they don't do the vetting. Now, after that, for years and years. No one does a vetting. Today I can come, you can do a vetting, you will find I don't have criminal record. But it doesn't mean that to that 10 years I've been working with you that I still don't have criminal record. You need to check. You don't need to take my word. You need to check. You need to check the thing. Like, for instance, now there was an accident in netball that I was told about, that the guy that was hired to be a coach of another team came from jail for sexual kind of case that he was convicted on. How do you get to that position whereby someone has been a rape offender, you take him to coach children? You can go to any union today, I promise you, and ask them, when was the last time you did vetting of your coaches? You will find a strange thing, a strange answer. Go to the schools, even the traditional schools. Vetting is not done. And it's worse in the black schools, whereby they are desperate. Anyone who comes in there and say, look, I'm a coach, hey, they will take you because they don't have money. Even if that person is a rapist, they won't know. They don't have even capacity to go do those things. We are putting mobsters to be in front of our children, and that worries me. And that really, really, really worries me. And I think that I have to say it now. Before you obtain any coaching or you go for a course, any cricket coaching, there should be vet with that. But there's none. I've gone through those coaching courses. There was no requirement for me to submit my criminal check. There was none. So the coaches need to be empowered, but they need to be vetted. In South Africa, we are dealing with a crisis whereby young children are being raped. There's an accident in Parktown that there was someone who was molesting boys. And if that person was vetted and checked properly, that thing could have been saved. But now we always, and the sad part, black children will never go out up until maybe one, after years, and say, look, I was being raped or coach did this. But right now, they would, you will struggle to get it out of them. Now I could be talking about a movie or something that is in my mind, but I would rather be safe than be sorry. If it's happening, if it's not happening, then good Lord. But if it's happening, we need to find out, because our children need to be protected at all times. Then I should move quickly to the hubs. As I say to you when I was writing the report, unfortunately, hubs have become a PR stunt. Why I would say a PR stunt is that it's a tick box whereby reports, we go to parliament, we go to early, we say, look, we have these, how many hubs? 62. I think there are 62 by now. And RPC, 62 of them. We are having how many kids there? But go to provincial team right now. How many kids from those hubs are in their provincial team, senior team? But those hubs have been there for a long. It's not like they've been there 2000. They've been there way back. Why there's no kids that are being selected from those hubs? If you say these hubs are working, these hubs have not been. It's like there's no new ideas in those hubs. It's the same thing over the years. No ideas. For me, they are just wasting time of black children, unless they could be changed. And I will go back later to give you the one of the things. And I always engage with cricket people to say, these are the ideas that I think you could use. It's up to them to take them, but those hubs are waste. And two, another important thing about to mention about those hubs is that, for me, if you say hubs are your transformation tool to get more black people and more black players, you should be getting the best of the best to coach those kids. If those coaches in those hubs, you can never take them to coach your senior team. Why should you take them to coach the black kids in our townships? Get the best of the best. If we are serious about the cricket, you've got a hub manager. I mean, if someone you call a hub manager, it means a hub manager is different than a club manager. The club manager look at the admin, the team, where they go to travel, but a hub, your hub is a small business. You have to treat it like that because it is. If as a hub manager, you can't convince a sponsor shop in your corner to even give children water when they go to the game, do you think you'll be able to convince a big company to come sponsor? That's why they don't have sponsors. Don't have depends on the money that they got from Cricket South Africa. You will seldom see a hub that can run on its own without the money that they receive from Cricket South Africa to the unions. We need people who can manage those hubs, not just because I know cricket. Someone doesn't need to know cricket to manage a hub. He just needs to know how to manage and have strong management skills so that those hubs can be independent, because Cricket South Africa depends on sponsors. What if those sponsors go tomorrow? Then those hubs are dead. Then on that, you get these hubs, these hubs because they're part of the clubs. Like, for instance, an example, a hub from Alexandra will have the committee, chairman, and everything. For me, still, if you are a chairman of a club, you need to be proactive. If you are a committee or a board, whatever they call it, you need to be proactive. They rely, those people, more on the money they get from CSA. So my question would be, and I will answer it on the resolution, why then those hubs are not run? Because these hubs, mostly, if I'm in Gauteng, I report, if like I'm in Johannesburg, the hub reports direct to the cricket union, which is the cricket union, which is the provincial structure. But for me, that's on its own is a problem. The sponsor, when they give money for development, they give it to Cricket South Africa. Cricket South Africa should be able to go direct and manage these structures, these hubs. Yes, you'll have a hub manager, but the hub manager have to report direct. They have to be a direct, because you are the one that is given money, you are the one that will be making reports. And some of the managers, they don't even know how to even open the laptop. That is true, and I've seen it. Some of them, they don't even have a bookkeeping for that. Some of them, they don't even have a plan or even a report. What has gone on last year? Where are we planning to go? It's a waste of time for black cricketers. It's a waste of time, because even the people who are running that, they don't have serious ambitions of making sure that these hubs are working. Sorry, just can you go? Yes, it's the in the room. Schools are closed. But to tell you the truth, something needs to be changed. But the hubs, let me give a credit to HQ. the hubs were idea that was meant to deliver something. The idea behind was good, but in South Africa generally we are failing in monitoring and evaluation. If there was evaluation and monitoring that we've been done in these hubs, surely we would be getting better results. But let's throw money in these hubs. Yes, we are all for transformation. We can go to Parliament and say, look, we are putting money in these hubs, but no results are coming, and no one asked that why. I will answer this later. Now, before I go to the NPO and companies, there's another section that I don't think is on your document, but I've said it later. It is important that I've touched it. It is important because not only cricket is affected by this, but sport generally in South Africa. I said that the subject is national sport education. There is an MOU between Department of Education, nationally, Department of Sport. That MOU was supposed to address how they can work together in running sport in South Africa. That MOU was drafted 2010, 2011, because that time it was Minister Balula and Minister Butseche, but was signed according to the report in their website 2015 by Minister Kasa of the Sport Department and Minister Butseche. Why I mentioned that report? That report, that MOU, it clearly says to you who is it. It clearly says in the area, and they use the word district. Department of Education will be running that part of sport development. In the regional and provincial, is now the role of Department of Sport. The lower, which is area, the district is the Department of Education. The higher, regional and provincial, is the Department of Sport. But those Department of Sport, they will be running it provincially. So if you will Gauteng, the provincially would be responsible at that level of the regional and the provincial is the Gauteng Department of Sport. On the level of area district is the Department of Schools. But now there is an area that is left. Who is in charge of developing the schools sport in South Africa? It is not addressed. They left that to the governing body of each and every school and the sport committee. Left schools don't have sport committees, most of them. Don't have. That is something that even Department of Education has never made sure that there is that body. It's not there. Sport committees are not there. You get SGBs. In SGBs, there are not many SGBs that are keen on running sport or keen on sport. And that we know, SGBs only focus on what needs to be focused in school, but sport is something that is inconveniencing everyone, if I can say that. SGB, the principal, even some teachers don't even want to get involved in sport. Now, when there is a MOU like that, it leaves a space Then we've got the national department says, I want of sports, says I want to see transformation. But transformation starts from the schools. The same person who say I want to see transformation has the MOU that says in schools we don't touch schools. They will see themselves. I said when I read that, I was reminded of the words of the great Stephen Matumiko saying, "You are on your own, black child," which is we are on our own, because no one seems to be talking about how we're going to develop schools and making sure that they play cricket or whatever sport. No one is taking that responsibility. Everyone is running from that. There's something wrong somewhere, somehow. And also, when we go to these structures, the education and the sport, we say to them, look, we want to help you in terms of developing sport in the black areas. The first question, are you affiliated with the union? And I've changed that question to them many times to say, if this is the criteria, the only criteria for you to work with me, then say, how can we help this NPO that is doing the great job to be affiliated with the union? Instead of asking me, I am affiliated, because I'm saying to you every time, I'm going to these offices. We want to be affiliated. No, I don't think anyone who's normal like me in his head wants to be called a rebel. We had so many families of ours who were in exile called rebel. I don't want to be called rebel. But now you go to those offices, you say to them, we want to work with you. They said, are the unions affiliated with the unions? Like another thing, we have a partnership with the cricket in Jamaica and cricket in Barbados. I went to National Sport Office to say, these guys are coming. We don't need money from you, but these guys will be coming in South Africa. I don't want this program to benefit kids from my own programs. But I want this to benefit kids from the rural area, because I'm passionate about rural area. But I don't have capacity. We don't have capacity to take the part. Working together, we can have capacity. They say, are you affiliated with Cricket South Africa? I said, now, why don't you help me to go to Cricket South Africa to sit down to say, there's this opportunity here. This opportunity speak about transformation, especially in rural areas. Then we can sit down, we can do with all this affiliation matter that I don't know what you want from me, because I've been going, they know about our organization. They've been making us to run around. And the people overseas, they are still waiting for us. And although we have capacity to do it alone, but for me, do it alone, it will benefit only few children. But working together, it will benefit children from, especially from rural, because we wanted to take this in rural areas. Because children from rural areas in South Africa, they don't have opportunities really. Children from townships sometimes in urban areas, they are spoiled for choices. If cricket closed doors for them, they can do music, they can do other things. But children from rural areas, there are limited opportunities. So we need intervention there. Just to go on another point in terms of that, there is a funding that you get from these organizations. Like there's a funding, sport funding you get from Department of Sport provincially. That you will find there are barely cricket, or there are some cricket organizations that have been funded over the years. But there's not been a result that show that this money is being used where it's supposed to be used. And you ask them, how do you do that? How do you find something that you say is not working? Even they will agree with me when I said, guys, you see, transformation is not going. Yes, we agree with you, but how do you every year you finding some people to do the development? I think this money could be used very well, and this money could be channeled in a proper way, because I've seen organizations, NPOs that are getting money. They are there for the love of money. They are getting money. They are putting in their own personal use. For them, it's all about them. And the last point I want to make, there is, I will talk about Gauteng Department of Sport, because I even went to them. They give equipment out of cricket to clubs, to some clubs. The equipment is not good enough to even last. And some of the bets they once showed me, gave it to me, I showed them this bet could not last for even 2 weeks. And that bet was broken, because that bet was made of a wood that is not good enough. The wood that you can trust right now in cricket is what you call English wood, cricket wood. But they had my point. They see these things, they get the reports. But because of who gets those tenders to do the equipment, maybe they know people or whatever, how they with that. Like they give you equipment. I'm telling you, after like the bet, I still remember when we had a club in Hilson Park. The bets that they gave us lasted for 2 weeks. We had to go dig in our pockets to buy bets. And that bet that we bought, they are still here. The ones that we got from our government, they were not there. So there's a need of engagement. Cricket needs to have an engagement with this department. You cannot have people who say, look, we believe in transformation, but they're working across each other. There's a need for development to be going in same way, like following a structure. That's why I mentioned that the national sport also needs to take a blame of black cricketers not to be developed. The Department of Schools need to take a blame. Provincially, they need to take a blame, because they are also, instead of putting glue to the cracks, they are putting salt to the wounds. Lastly, I would like to talk about the NPOs. Yes, I spoke the companies. I spoke a lot. Let me just tell you something that happened in 2019. A story, quick. There were guys from UK who came to South Africa to watch cricket. I've met them, and they said, David, we want you to show us your country. Please, can you avail yourself during while we are here, England is playing in South Africa? I said, yes, I've got no problem to that. I took these people to township. We went to Alexandra once. We went to Soweto. We went to Gugulethu in Cape Town. And when the test was in PE, we went to many township of PE. And we were eating our food from the townships. And they asked me a question, David, why their food from township is not sold on the stadiums? I could not answer that. But the truth, you go to cricket stadium, you go to watch. First, you will struggle to see when you're passing to the food stalls that are owned by our own people. let's not look at the cricket or the field. Let's look at the business of cricket. Because if we don't crack the business of cricket, we will never take over all the field. Because the business of cricket are controlling cricket at some point. And I will tell you a lot about this here. You don't find our own people. I don't know if the message being said, your food in the township is not good enough, but my mind is good enough for me to go to stadiums. You go, I sit sometimes in this box seat. You will never be served, it's seldom. I have not found it when I'm there in the stadium. Like having my own food, our cultural food. No, you won't have it. Then it means that the cricket world is not looking at black business serious. If I go to the soccer stadium, they're selling the food that I know from the township. Yes, I've been years now not staying in the township, but when I go to, I get excited because now I'll be reminded of where I come from. And we buy there, we eat there, you enjoy it. You enjoy the experience because now you're eating the food that makes you feel like you are accepted here. The pricing of the tickets to go to watch cricket sometimes can be, it's like for someone who comes from township, the food is difficult for them. It's like seriously. And the food that you go there, the prices. And if you get someone that is black, he knows the pricing that are needed for our people to buy food. So the business of sport, we need to take over. Another thing in that business of sport, today in South Africa, and especially I work in that industry. I do a lot of work of equipment. To get a proper bed, it's cost 3,500. A bed, a cricket bed. I'm not talking about other equipment. A proper one. The most expensive cricket bed I've ever seen in my eyes is 12,000. Tell me how many black parents that can afford to take 3.5 for a bed. Some of them, they don't even pay that money monthly. And there are, it's like I'm one of the black people who are on that space. There's a need for us, black people, to be in that space of making cricket beds so that they can be cheaper. The pricing is made deliberately. Believe me, it's made deliberately. They know who are their target market. And unfortunately, it's not us, black people. There's a need for intervention in that, in terms of getting black companies that would be making cricket balls so that people, schools from township, rural areas would afford them. Black entrepreneurs in making rubber beds, the equipment, so that they can be affordable. Like I will make an example whereby business and the union is working together, the federation, cricket federation is working together. In UK right now, there's a research that was done last year of taking another wood, a tree wood, to make a cricket bed, a cheaper cricket bed. And this year, I've read the report that bed is being passed now. It's ready to go to the market. You tell me in South Africa that cannot be done. Why we keep on, and there are South African manufacturers, but those South African manufacturers are not even taken serious. Both most of these bets that we're betting with, is either they come from UK, they come from India. Hence, I said there's a space whereby black entrepreneurs, they can play in cricket. But people will not just wake up and play that role when the federation itself is not opening a space for those businesses to go there. And also, sometimes there's this kind of attitude whereby if I'm a black businessman approaching either a union or a federation, I'm being done a favor, as if I'm not good enough. Now, even whatever treatment you get, just take it, because you've been done a favor. And if you talk too much, your contract might be terminated or what stop working with you. So this is a challenge in cricket. We're not taken serious as black NPOs, as black companies. We're not taken serious, really. We take it as if we there just to make or to be done a favor. I've never asked for any favor in cricket. I've always put the ideas. Even now, we've got this. My company has been assisting in terms of doing the beds for the hubs at a very cheap rate to refurbish them, all beds. And we have given out the clubs in the most easterns in Ekurhuleni, they can tell you. Last year, we gave them a kit close to 500,000 for free. We never said to them, yeah, you need to write something or you need to whatever. We have given up. We are doing these things. But now when we approach those affiliations, kind of, we done a favor. Then even the mail are sometimes people, even from finance, in some unions, they talk with you whereby you want to query about certain payments. It's like, shut up. We doing you a favor anyway. So we are treated like a second citizen sometimes. And we as an entrepreneur NPO, as a company businessman, I've never asked for favors. I've never to anyone, because I believe in my own abilities. And it doesn't happen to me only. There are many out there. There are many out there whereby I speak with people in the corners. They said, David, it's either you just follow. And that's why, just to finish all of it, I said, the system needs to be kicked out, because the system, life told me, that system will have the architects, system will have the disciples, system will have his slaves. And sometimes when you address these things, even the slaves of the system fight with you, because they've been programmed to think there's nothing else, or you want nothing, just to follow the order. And even now, speaking about it, I might be seen in some quarters as a troublemaker, but in truth, they know what I'm talking about, and it's there. They can check how many business people have the organization has. Let's check their treatment. If they are happy, it's like when you are a client or when you're working with someone, at some point we need to evaluate the relationship, but there's nothing like that. Let me go quick to now to the solutions I've put in every department.
Yeah.
Let me start by saying we in cricket, like I know there's a body that deals with transformation in cricket South Africa. somewhere. I've never seen their work, but I just know by reading the documents. And some of them I've never seen them in any cricket tournaments, in any cricket things. I don't even know some of them, but I attend these things a lot from any part of South Africa. Eastern Cape, whatever, up there. I've never seen those people, because if you say you are a transformation body, you should be there when there is a transformation activities, kind of. They are not there. I even call them suit people who sit there. And I always have this thing. I said, if I'm wearing my suit, there's a place that I don't want to go because my suit will get dirty. If I'm putting my fragrance, there's a place that I don't want to go because they won't enhance the smell of my fragrance. So I call them suit people because we will not have this commission hearing that we're sitting on today if those people were doing their job, or if that body was tough enough to deal with the challenges of transforming cricket. Now, what I'm saying is that there should be a new structure that will not only you look at transformation, but in development. And in development, people they must stop patronizing us by thinking development is about black kids playing, but it's about making sure those kids they are looked after physically and emotionally. Like, you cannot take a child and say, go play a tournament. You don't know that child whether he's 8 or not. You can never take a child to say, go play in a tournament. Maybe that child comes from an abusive home. You need to help. Unfortunately, cricket is not in Ireland, whereby we deal with things. Cricket have to get involved in many things. So that's why I'm saying there's going to be that structure, the national one, looking at transformation, looking at the development on its own, because the development of cricket has gone down, not only black areas only, but it seems like Lawi has gone to the other side of the world. The development is going down. We need a structure that will look at that, especially for black. Then you need that structure to have arms provincially, because now you get in this board, sometimes we take people from Johannesburg. Who is reporting accidents from Eastern Cape, Kimberley, or in Limpopo? Who is reporting that? You need to have those provincial that will be there, watching things are happening, implementing things if they are not happening, not only watching, implementing, and monitoring and evaluation that the transformation is happening. We cannot have this kind of talk forever. Action needs to be done. So that structure needs to have. If we don't have that structure that has provincial arms, we will still be having this same talk. Now, in unions, like I said, the critical person is the cricket service manager. Please, there must be the requirements of you to get a cricket management needs to be checked. They must remove that code level 3 I spoke about earlier requirement, because that we know now that there is a gatekeeping into that. Remove that. Let's hire best people for the best job. People who've got strong leadership management, people who will be implementing. Now, you can go now to, like, for instance, I believe if you are a cricket service manager, you go to an interview, you must come with a presentation and say, these are the ideas that I will come and do. This is what I'm planning to achieve 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Looking at what is happening now, there's no such. You don't even have you don't even see the plan in them. They sit in the offices. Sitting at offices, they're waiting for us to come to them to say, look, there's a challenge. They will never take any proactive. So we need to get right people there. People will be doing job. Not sometimes they don't need to have that much cricket knowledge. They need to be strong enough to able to do the job. Then I say that every cricket service manager must report directly to the cricket director, to the CSA cricket director. And the cricket service director will be the one having the powers to remove someone if someone is not doing it right. Why I say that right now, the cricket service manager report to the CEO of the union. Unfortunately, those CEOs, they don't even care about the development. Only thing they care about is the finance of the organization. If their senior teams winning cups, they will go take pictures. When the teams are winning cups, they will go there with their suit, but you never even see them taking pictures in the development areas where they will say, this is a development thing that we're doing. And say we take pictures too. So there must be the cricket service manager, they must report direct their staff, which is I'm talking about the coaching manager, I'm talking about the mini cricket. They must report directly. Now that will help in terms of Cricket South Africa has a direct say of what's happening in the development. Right now, unions are powerful than Cricket South Africa. And that was done because if you look at the structure, how in old days we were selecting the board. The board is the president of the unions. You're taking someone who's the president of a union to be in a committee or that will be making decisions nationally. Obvious, there will be politics in that, and obvious people will protect themselves. So I'm glad that there is a shift in that slightly, but still we need to have this service manager reporting directly to Cricket South Africa so that the accountability of cricket development be taken straight now to the office of Cricket South Africa, not to the union's office. Then we can say now when we have a problem with the development, Cricket South Africa, what are you doing? But now it's difficult to blame Cricket South Africa. No, it's difficult. They don't have powers in the development. They can come with new things, concept, but at the end of the day, it depends to the union. And unfortunately, someone in the Cricket South Africa office cannot tell now with authority the cricket service manager, you're not doing your job. They will tell, I'm not hired by you. I haven't signed contract with you. I'm hired by my CEO and by my union. So that needs to be changed so that a cricket director would have direct. Then we can say, what is he doing if we're not getting the results? And in that, CSA needs to beef up staff some in their offices in that cricket director office. Because now if you have all of these people reporting to you, you need to have a team that will be monitoring and make sure that the work is being done. The last time I checked, Cricket South Africa is 64 staff members, 54 or 64. That for me, to run the cricket in South Africa, that number needs to be beefed up, especially the development side, whereby now we can see them on the working. Because right now, to tell you the development of South African cricket is just something on the paper. For the transformation is just something on the paper. There's nothing that is happening that will make you to be interested or to make you feel like, wow, things are happening right now. No, And things will never happen until the Cricket Direct South Africa will have direct access of hiring cricket service manager and firing them if they are not doing their job. And then women must be given a job, an opportunity, sorry. We've got cricket service manager in South Africa. I think that's 13 of them. If you, the last time I checked, there was one lady. You've got coaching managers. The last time I checked, there was not even one woman in that. Are we saying women are not capable? That is a lie, because I found women to be in these offices, while that are working more than men, while that are delivering. The women are capable. We need to look at that, because that is another discrimination. Because people think it's a men's sport. No, it's not a men's sport, it's sport for everyone. That's why the development of ladies cricket, you see, it's always following men even further, because it's men making decisions for women. We don't have women making decisions or women in the right places. We need women in the right places in cricket. They are capable. I've worked with them. I can even mention one or two. There was a lady, Caroline, in the Easterns. She does her job very well. Unfortunately, now they fired her. There's a lady in cricket, South Africa, Shabelle. She's quite good at her job. Those ladies are capable. They are capable the same as men. We need to see women be given opportunities, not only in not important position, in important position, so that we can see the women development also in cricket. Especially we need more women as a cricket service manager. Also, I said on my last point in this, cricket needs to have the management course. So remember, I said earlier that cricket needs to work with universities. Cricket needs to have this management course. I will tell you why I feel and I believe it will help. Now, if you train people, let's say you train 50 people, they're in your database and you know they are fully well trained, they can run the cricket development. When you want to hire someone for a job, maybe cricket service manager, you don't need to be calling interviews, because you already have people that you train. And you know them, you've been following them. You need to go there and say, this so and so must be coming to do the job. Now, people are not trained, and there are coaches who've been coaching for 20 years, even more. Still, there are a lot. A coach finished grade 12 long time ago, and there was not assistance in terms of giving him opportunity to study further. And then when you want, when you have a position in management, you start to say qualification, guys. But how would you get qualifications if you're not empowered first? Hence, you see those coaches being there, even when they die poor, because you've got people in the management that don't even know what they are doing, don't even care about it. But if we can train the people who are ready in cricket to be there, the coaches, there are coaches who've got talent. Then you could see if this guy could get an education opportunity, this guy could go far. This guy's got a brain. They need to be trained, so that when you say now, yes, I need whatever qualifications for this job, you know you've got people. But when you say you need qualification, but you never train anyone, you never even lift a lead in terms of making sure that we've got educated Black individuals. Why would you want qualification from people? We need to have these courses. Now let me go to the solution of the pipeline, cricket, in terms of the development. I said let's dismantle the structures of running the schools cricket. That structure needs to be taken out. That structure is so discriminant. They're only there for the sake of making sure few elite South African gets opportunities. Let's make sure that these the development arms that I talk about, the transformation and development, they structure the schools cricket. In that structure, they must make sure this thing that is happening of black and white not playing together, it ends. Kids have to play together. There's no weak team, there's no strong team. This is sport. We have seen underdog beating the strong person. If now we say weak play together, really we are taking away the spirit of sport. How nice when we see an underdog rise up to beat a champion. We enjoy it. But now if you say weak play together, the strong play together, and the strong is white, then that is it's a silly thing. It's insulting, and it must end. And also, the role of NPOs in development must be appreciated. Appreciated in this way. I found every region. Gauteng, I go to Eastern Cape, I go home, Cape Town. There are NPOs, people that are doing cricket development. Let's make use of those people. Cricket South Africa must open what I call Indaba. Call us. We'll come. Call us 12 o'clock in the morning at night. We'll come. Because we love the sport. There are many of these NPOs there. There are many of the people there that goes there, some without funding. They've been doing that for years. They need to be recognized. Those structures need to be affiliated with the federation so that now those people could have a wider mandate of developing players. And those people have been developing players more than these legit kind of structures. It's easy. You can have those NPOs and draw a contract. And also, cricket needs to work with, needs to find a way to work with the Department of Education, Department of Sport, and Department of Social Services. Because I said in one point, it's not used to develop a child, take a child to go play, but the child will I've said, then we'll say when the child is not performing, look at these black people. But we don't look at where the kids come from, the challenges. We don't even help the kids. We only worry what he must perform. But before you perform, everything must be right. But if things are not right, you cannot perform. Like I make an example of those kids that were traveling with a provincial team. Others were going out to buy food. They were not. Imagine if no one had picked it up. Those kids would have come there hungry. Those kids would have been demoralized before they could all go to play. And like my last point on my other point on this, I said cricket development needs to be looked at it. Like we've got a challenge in South Africa where we found that we've got bowlers that are black, but we don't have batsmen that are black. And that is a system on its own. Like I said, the bats are expensive. Our kids don't have the bats. Two, we stay in the small areas whereby we don't have place to practice. To be a batsman, you have to practice a lot. You have to practice a lot. It's not like bowling whereby sometimes I call it's a natural talent kind of thing. Batting, you have to practice a lot. But I've been in a position myself playing cricket once whereby I had to borrow a bat to go to play from someone who was about to bet for a player, a teammate of mine. When you are there, you worry, you don't want to break this bet. You want to play, but you don't want to break this bet because you fear that you might come back and have to pay. You don't have money for the bet. You don't have the money to pay this person. There must be a way that make sure that our kids got bet, and there must be programs that make sure we produce black batsmen. We produce black all-rounders. It can't be said that all as black person we are good at bowling. No, we are good at playing cricket. We've been playing this sport from 18th century. If we have to go to the history, we can't be insulted and say we only good at what? At betting. My other point, it says, like I said, black and white schools must play together. Cricket schools and clubs must engage in cultural exchange programs. Now, in South Africa, you've got a white club, you've got black clubs. And for me, that's where the problem lies, especially clubs. And we have done nothing in terms of educating the kids in cricket. Importance of engaging with one another. Importance of why black and white have to play with one another. And these kids, when they grow up, they will represent our team. But now they were from one island to another island. So definitely you will have a problem whereby the white associate their colors, the black stays in their colors, because all of their lives has been like that. We need to have a program in cricket whereby we look at cultural engagement. We used to use days like Abo Cultural Day, Abo Freedom Day, educate the kids in sport. Why we have those days? Why it's important that we pass there by making sure development is okay in cricket. All another, my last thing on this is that there should be for me now these days in South Africa a rule or whatever you can call it, whereby traditional cricket schools, they have to now have a number. I said it in my thing 5 of each team that they have of black cricketers. We can't be watching those schools. There will be 2 black people there, white black people there. They must make sure. They must be told, like, if you don't have this number in each and every team of 5 black cricketers, we will not allow you. We will not select your boys. You will be treated as rebels. They've got infrastructure. They've got everything there. While we're still fixing our own in the township, we need their help in terms of making sure that our black children are given opportunities. But we don't have to wait on them. Also, we have to fix our own. But seriously, we need to make sure those schools that every team of theirs at least have a 5 black person. To find 5 black people in South Africa, black cricketers, it can't be a problem. That is easy. So they lead. And also another point, just lastly I make it that is that we should look at adding these black-white clubs. And my solution to that was that we need to stop teams to participate in our structures. If that team has all-white team, we need to tell them at least you need to have 5 black children in your team. And also in your board, 50% of your board needs to be made of black and white. 50 black, 50 white. You cannot have boards of the clubs that are white or black. Even to the teams, like I even said on that point, we need to give insensitive for white kids to go to play in black areas. And someone will ask me why it will help if you take a white child to go play there. It's obvious. If a white parent comes in, his child is playing in that area, they don't have uniform. He will go back to his friends or colleagues, whatever, to say, guys, my child is playing for a certain club in Soweto, Alexandra. I could see they don't have uniform. Can you help out? Because now, if you look at it in cricket, our children, when they play, they are so dirty. You go to the white side, clean. And if you, a child, doesn't feel good in terms of the uniform and equipment, I'm telling you, he's defeated before he could play. Cricket is one mental sport. And if we mess with the mental side of children, we are patronizing them, they will never go anywhere. That's where I said hubs are wasting children's time, because you look at their kids there when they go to play. It's sad. We have to wait sometimes when they are playing for them to be changing one another. Imagine a box. A box is something, cricket box, you put it in your underwear, under your underwear. It's protecting your private part. Taking it out and give it to someone else while you were sweating. Taking your gloves, cricket gloves, you give it to someone else, you will be coming to bed. It's insulting children. We are demoralizing the state of our children badly. To go to another point, the solution on coaching. Like I said, union must partner and make sure with universities, make sure that coaches get education. Traditional schools must start hiring our coaches. Traditional schools, they don't want to hire South African black coaches. That is true, that has been happening. They would rather hire my brothers from Zimbabwe than hire black South Africans. Do you ask me why? I don't know. But what I think, as David, they do that to protect the status quo. Because if they put David there, David, who is coming from the townships, David will want to put the black children on that team. But putting someone that has no attachment with this country, who coming there for the sake of financial gains, he will do what the master tells him to do. We keep it the status quo, that there will always black children must be minimum in those teams, which is unfair. We need those black coaches to be given opportunities. They are good enough to coach any school. They are good enough to coach in camps. That must be looked at. And
we have about 3 minutes to round up. Yes.
The most important points, I will skip others because they are already on your document.
Yeah.
Let me look at the most important point that I said. Look in hubs. Our hubs, I believe, should now be multi-sport, whereby our kids play every sport there. Because there's a report that is there when you do the coaching of secret South Africa. They say if a child is not playing multi-sport, that child, it is written by a doctor, a psychological doctor, that child will be imbalanced. So it makes me cry when you say you are doing the same thing that you're talking about, imbalance in your hubs. The hubs are imbalanced. Only don't play cricket for the whole season. They need to engage with other federations, and that will save them a lot of money so that they could able to be in many hubs. Another thing is that those hubs should have fitness trainers, because that's one another thing that expect that is black players are struggling from. The fitness side of cricket, the the nutrition, diet, and everything. A person only learns about those things when he's in the higher stage. Sometimes it's too late because you've been eating badly all the time. Now, they will say you are fair to play the sport, but they've been letting you in those stages to play the sport. Like I say, I talk about this, hub managers need to be trained, and hubs need to be operated as like business, and also social workers. Every region has social workers. The social workers need to be involved in these hubs. Make sure our children are being in the right state of mind, they are taken care. I think that would, or the last point in NPOs, I said they should be programs. There should be programs in terms of business, whereby if Black people want to, let's say, an example, they want to cook and sell their food in stadiums, there should be a process whereby they could be engaging on, then be developed to be, if they are not in the standard right now, to be in the standard whereby they could sell food, they could do other business in cricket. Because if we don't have this business side, let's give up about the on-field side. Because that part that we don't see on TV controls a lot in the part that we see on TV. So that will be my submissions to you, Chair, today.
Exactly 12:15. Thank you very much, Mr. Mashiyi. You have covered a large area, and I have to say that, it has given us, food for thought. But it has also created problems for us in the sense that it leaves, certainly with me, more questions that I would have loved to put to you, but I wouldn't have the time for those questions. But let me, in parting, put the problem I have always been thinking about. Before 1994, or a little bit earlier than that, the way in which the order controlled the lives of white and Black people was informed by strict segregation. You lived separately, you studied separately, you went to school separately, you resided separately. Even when you died, you were buried separately. And that obviously must have impacted the manner in which we become. The socialization was always going to be along segregation lines. That's why Soweto continues to be Soweto. And today, so many years, 30 years after the unification talks in cricket, you are more likely, in fact, no one even guesses, whom you are more likely to see coming out of Pimville, Guguletu, Langa. In fact, no one is expecting that you will see white people coming out of those places. And if you go to Sandton, to Melrose Estate, to Weinberg, to Newlands, you are more likely to see white people living in those areas in their numbers. And it seems to me, and I'm thinking about what you were saying about the cricket schools and which need to have black cricketers and black and white clubs. You have black clubs there, white clubs there. There needs to be an elimination of that. What has been bothering me is that in the last 30 years, it has not happened. And I would like you to think about that. How is it going to happen if it has not happened in the last 30 years? Because of what others will call spatial dynamics, you know. Even those of us who go into these white suburbs, because I still call them that, even though I stay there. I don't know who my neighbor is. We don't socialize. But maybe that's a problem for another day. But do you have a thought, perhaps in 1 minute, 2 minutes? Or even if you say, oh yeah, well, that's a big problem, let me think about it. I'll make a written submission.
Okay, let me come and say, Chair. Firstly, if you need to ask me questions beyond the questions that you have, you can always send to me. I will report. I will make sure I write something to make sure I help this to help you. But in terms of that, I always use the example that was used when we went to the democratic era. It was sport that was used as a face of it. Like a sport that can change all of that. If the children start to play together, start to engage together, in years to come, sometimes we must read beyond our own lifetimes. In years to come, we'll have a change. But if we keep on this island, we'll have a bigger island in years to come. Sport has to play important role, and sport has to know we are the one that's played a crucial part to make sure this country is united. We must continue. This is a daily work. It's not something we can forget about it 5 years or 2 years down the line. Remember, oops, we have forgot. We need to do it daily. We need to try dying than to just watch and say, it's all in all, it is well. I believe so. We need to try dying, and we need to engage, make sure our children plays together. Our children has programs whereby they engage together in sport and even about things outside sport. Why children today, they think we've been vindictive when we speak about quota system. Why there's a need of quota system? We're not. They need to be educated about their history. They are not, because their fathers are lying to them to say, oh, this black government doesn't like you. In fact, we like them. We want them to stay. That's why I'm talking about the rainbow nation. I'm not talking about the all black team. I'm talking about the rainbow nation. That rainbow ideology that value needs to drive whatever we do as a country. So that will be my point in that sport needs to play part. Sport doesn't need to be a political body on its own. And in that, I would like your commission to also look at the loosely use of the word quota player. Because the quota player name is being used for a black player. if he doesn't perform on that day, he's a quota player. For me, it's equal to the words that we were called during the apartheid days. Because now the quota player means that I'm being there because I'm black. So we need to look at that. Is that word today not insulting our own players? If it is, let's not use it in cricket. Let's find a way that we'll say this word will not be used. Anyone using this word will just treat it as a slur. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, Mr. Mashiyi. Yes, you have given us something to go and think about as we prepare our report at the end of this entire exercise. Yeah. We will adjourn now, and thank you very much once again for having come.